I arrived in 87. I left in 86 my country, and I had to go through the immigration system in a neutral country in Europe. So I lived in another country in Europe, went through interviews with the American embassy. We went through all kind of checkups. They wanted to make sure we're healthy and we're productive and so on. And actually, some people had to wait 2-3 years. The immigration system in itself is very complex. I am Simona Gerber, and currently I am an art therapist. I work in an outpatient facility with a lot of children and families. I came from Romania. My country was communist at the time when I left. I am born in a city called Brasov. In my country, I was a French teacher. What people don't understand always about immigration, not everybody leaves for economical reasons. I'm among the ones that left for political reasons. For me, this country was a symbol of freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and that's why I wanted to be here. I am born in one of the oldest cities in Transylvania and the biggest settlement in the country. They started building my city in around 1200. So there is a lot of history. The city is really big. Again, the reason why I left was political, not economical. I am happy to be here. I worked for a number of years for St. Joseph Center with people with mental health and physical disabilities. I enjoyed every second. I was working there with, I was writing programs for my clients, and we ended up working together on some huge murals. I was holding their hands and we're working with painting on the wall. And I remembered while I was working with them that I always loved art. That was actually the moment, the turning point where I went back to one of the activities that I used to love the most when I was a child. The center, we're working on the murals. I ended up being as excited as them and barely waiting for those moments when we're going to paint together. So I decided instead of going back to teach French, especially that in this country it looks like everybody prefers to learn Spanish, I was going to go back to what I liked for a long time without ever thinking that I'm going to turn it into a profession. I just thought that is one of my hobbies. But because life is short, I think it's good to pay attention to hobbies and what matters to us the most and try to go in those directions. Because this way our life becomes more meaningful. I had family that was involved in art. I had an aunt that was a well-known artist and used to have exhibitions in Lausanne. She was working on tapestry, even though tapestry started in medieval times. And I had an uncle that was the president of the oldest colonies of artists in Romania. It's situated in northern Transylvania. My uncle was the president of this colony, so when I was a child I had a chance to hang with a lot of his friends and artists and their children. So for me, it was sort of art was a natural thing, was part of my upbringing, part of my makeup, and I never thought to turn it into a job because it was so close that I never saw it. So, but when I started working with children and I enjoyed it so much, I decided that would be the direction. I went to Marywood. I'm very proud and honored to have such teachers. Even my teachers noticed that in printmaking. I ended up working a lot with mountain landscapes, and my teachers felt that there is an European kind of atmosphere in my prints. Other than that, I do sculpture and I work with in oil pastels mainly. My oil pastels are sort of very personal. My style, my approach is unique. I'm doing something that other people don't, so it's hard to compare. But the printmaking, yeah, I could see some similarities, some themes that are Romanian. I believe that all the experiences, good and bad in life, are bringing us where we are right now. So if I take away any of those, I might be in a completely different place.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with the place where I am right now, and that is a good measure to tell me that all the experiences I went through, regardless how intense were emotionally, in positive or negative ways, were worth it, every second of it, to go through them the way I did. People have a hard time to put together psychology, clinical psych, and art, fine arts, because one is a science and art is art. It's totally subjective. But there are a few of us that like to walk that fine line, because this way you could use art in ways that other techniques don't manage to reach people and help them express themselves and help them heal.
Well, I don't know if you'd put this in the category of facts or not, but certainly the work of art therapy is to help people in many different ways, clients, patients, etc. People who may be going through life changes and want to work through something, people who may be diagnosed with certain illnesses and want to work through some of the issues, emotional and psychological issues that are involved in that. Personal growth and development in terms of self-exploration. Art therapy is very useful for processing experiences that may be difficult to process through words alone. It always feels wonderful, and it's also humbling at the same time, because one has to keep recognizing that it's the client that's doing the work and the art that's doing the work, and we just become facilitators in that endeavor, so that I help guide the process, but the ownership of the results belongs with the person. There's no question in my mind that culture does play a role. I had a friend who went to Sri Lanka to work with people who had survived the tsunami, and she was very startled to find that the folks, the children there, were all making the same image, which was an image of a flower. And she thought that they were also copying from each other. And being trained in the West, she thought that was probably not a good thing, until she explored the culture further and found out that, in fact, the way that children in Sri Lanka work and learn is by copying one another, and that was the national flower, and that was the one thing that they all learned in school together. So in fact, it was a unifying experience. So in answering your question, I do believe culture is important, and of course we can't know all cultures. So it's perfectly appropriate at certain times to even ask of the client or patient about their culture, and can they educate me a little bit. There are things that in some cultures it's not acceptable to make an image of a person, so we wouldn't want to ask them to draw a person. So yeah, culture is very important. And there's one other piece of that also, or there are actually many, but one of them is there's a culture in every family, and so we want to be mindful of the personal culture that the client comes from. In order to become an art therapist, you have to go to graduate school, and you have to get your master's degree from a recognized program, although there are other routes to that as well, but those are very non-traditional routes. It can be done. However, once you accomplish getting your master's degree in art therapy, you have to work for 2 years approximately in order to get certified as a certified registered art therapist, and that would be the ATR. We don't call a registered art therapist an RAT for the obvious reasons that RAT is not a very nice set of initials to have after one's name. After that, after you get the ATR, then there's a board certification exam, and that examination is nationwide, and is crucial to becoming fully certified as an art therapist. Beyond that, there are supervisory credentials. I happen to have one. There's only 5 of us in the state of Pennsylvania that have that, so I'm a certified supervisor as well. But there are other certifications, including in specified areas such as traumatology, child life, and other areas where people go beyond the degree, go beyond the regular training, and get further training in bona fide certification programs. It's very interesting. Art therapy, you know, was originally devised out of education, psychology, and artists all coming together at a certain point in time in the 1950s and 60s and recognizing that the arts are something that really can change people's lives. Having said that, it was a process of discovery for many decades in terms of different clinical approaches to art therapy. There's an analytic approach, there's a narrative approach, there's a trauma-informed approach. There are many approaches to art therapy, and that's one of the courses that we teach in the art therapy, undergraduate art therapy program. Most recent change that I've seen and that I've been a participant in is the inclusion of neuroscience, our understanding of how the brain works and the body-mind connection. This has come about because of work that has been done in trauma, and that is my area of expertise. And so included in my trauma course, of course, is a significant amount of neuroscience information. But I also include that in all the other courses that I teach, because I feel that is the sort of next wave of where our understanding of how we can best use art therapy belongs.